G'day guys, my name is Ben and you're watching The Long Gun Project. Intro. Perfect. What a great start. Hello again guys, my name is Ben and you are watching The Long Gun Project. First of all, I want to say thank you for joining me on this channel. I know you've got an endless choice of things that you can watch on YouTube, but I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. Well, actually they're our videos. I don't work alone, I have Parker with me and he does a lot of work behind the scenes, camera work, spotting, reloading, that sort of thing. Do you want to say hi, buddy? Very helpful. Now, The Long Gun Project is a channel that focuses on long range shooting in its various forms, whether it's PRS, varminting, long range plinking, etc. But I wanted to kick off the channel with a look at something that's captured my attention recently, and that's extreme long range shooting. I've shot long range and PRS for a while, but extreme long range is something that's new to me, so I thought I would share my extreme long range journey with you. You may also find there's some useful information in some of these videos, but I can't actually promise that. Now, if you're here with me, I'm going to assume that you know a bit about long range shooting, which is going to help me keep the videos to a reasonable length. If not, that's okay. There are heaps of places where you can find this information, like Applied Ballistics or Tibosaurus Rex, for example. I'll also include appendix videos for those subjects that you might want to dig into in more detail. Now, I wanted to make this first series of videos on extreme long range shooting because when I went looking for information on this subject, I found lots and lots of videos showing people shooting extreme long ranges, but not a lot of info about what process they went through in order to be able to eventually make those extreme shots. And we know there has to be a process to this because you just don't go and pick up your rifle and then start shooting it at 2 miles. I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna go check that. Okay, so I did some checking and it turns out I'm right. There is a process to this. Now I'm going to be stepping through that process, I'm going to document it, and I'm going to share it with you guys. And hopefully you'll be able to find it both useful and interesting. So why extreme long range? Well, I kind of think as a long range shooter, you're always pushing to shoot further. Now I've stretched my 300 Win Mag to a mile, and unsurprisingly, I want to shoot further. So to shoot further, I also know that I've got to shoot something bigger, but we'll get to that in a moment. I think now is a good time to talk about goals. What is my extreme long range shooting goal? I think the King of 2 Mile competition is a great benchmark, but 2 miles might be a little unrealistic for me at this point. But I do think that being able to hit a 36 by 36 inch target at 2,500 meters, that's 1.5 miles for those of you in the US, is an achievable and realistic goal for me at this point in time. So that will be my goal for the end of this series. So the first thing I needed to do was answer the question of caliber and cartridge choice. Which caliber and cartridge do I intend to use to achieve my extreme long range shooting goal? Now, the ideal way to do this would be to select an appropriate caliber with a large selection of high performing projectiles and then let that guide your cartridge choice. So let's look at projectile performance and availability. Ideally, we want a large range of high BC projectiles that we can choose from for a particular caliber. Now, if we look at this graph, which you can find at Applied Ballistics ELR Central, you can see that the 2 calibers with the largest number of projectiles to choose from, with a BC above 0.4 on the G7 scale, that's everything above the blue line, is 375 cal and 50 cal. Now, I know some of you are going to be thinking, go the 50 cal, because more is more. I had the dubious honour of shooting an Accuracy International 50 cal on operations, and I can tell you right now that I found it to be zero fun. The recoil and muzzle blast was not conducive to repeated accurate shots at extreme long range. So I've decided to rule out the 50 cal, but with 375 we have availability of brass and projectiles, so for that reason I've decided to go with a 375 CheyTac. CheyTac? 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 Is it a CheyTac? It's a CheyTac. Now, a key consideration of me being here in Australia is where I can shoot a cartridge of this size. All the Sporting Shooting Association of Australia ranges all have an energy limitation, and only a handful have a limitation that's high enough to accommodate a 375 Chi-Tac, 408 Chi-Tac, or up to 50 cal. I'm very fortunate that I have private property that I can access to be able to shoot this cartridge safely. Now in Australia, I don't know anywhere where you can buy factory loaded 375 Chi-Tac ammo. So you're going to have to start reloading if you're not doing that already. But it's not as simple as just grabbing a set of dies and putting them in your press and starting to reload. Because of the size of the cartridge, you're going to need a bunch of new reloading gear. Now, if you'd like more information about the reloading gear you'll need for a cartridge of this size, feel free to click on the appendix video where I'll go into more detail about the gear that you'll need and the process that I use when reloading. So the last major question I had to answer was, what kind of rifle was I going to get? A custom made rifle or an off the rack rifle? Well, in Australia for off the rack, you've got two choices, Chi-Tac and Chi-Tac. Now I have no doubt that Chi-Tac make an excellent product, but here in Australia, it's going to cost between $17,000 and $19,000 for the privilege of owning one. And that's before I put a scope on it, and that's way outside my budget. That only left me with one option, custom made rifle. Now I know some of you are thinking custom made gun equals big money. Now for regular calibers, that's true. A custom made gun in 6.5 Creedmoor will cost you a hell of a lot more than something off the shelf. But what I found with these big calibers was that the opposite was true. A custom built 375 Chi-Tac is less than half the cost of an off the rack 375 Chi-Tac. Now this made my decision very easy. I was getting a custom built 375 Chi-Tac. I'm very fortunate that I have a very good and talented friend who's a full-time gunsmith who runs Group Solutions Gunsmithing in the ACT. Now Russell has built me this beautiful 375 Chi-Tac. Now I'm going to go into more detail about this rifle. In our next video I'll give you a rundown on the specs, and we're going to load and shoot the rifle for the first time, which is really exciting. Guys, I want to thank you for being part of the very first episode of the Long Gun Project. I hope this has whet your appetite to see what we've got coming up in our next lot of videos and appendix videos. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.